Mental health. Something that nearly everyone has struggled with to varying degrees. Over the years, South Park has addressed and depicted many different mental health issues. Depression, anxiety, personality disorders, you name it, and South Park is likely covered.
It's coffee and RuneScape.
With shockingly impressive depth. South Park can get really stupid, yet it somehow manages to be one of the smartest shows at the same time. Today, I want to explore a serious mental health condition that, in my opinion, South Park accurately portrayed. The topic of today's video is hoarding.
Holy crap.
Hoarding was addressed in season 14's episode titled Inception. The plot follows Stan and Mr. Mackey's struggles with hoarding disorder. You can also tell from the episode title that it's a parody of the 2010 movie Inception. This episode is surrounded by controversy, and probably not for the reasons you might think. We'll get into this later, but for now, let's address the question, what is hoarding disorder? Well, it's defined as a mental health condition, characterized by constant difficulty in discarding or parting with possessions, even if they have no value or you no longer need them.
You want to keep a broken brick?
Yes.
People struggling with this mental disorder might experience distress at the thought of getting rid of these items.
Like pulling teeth.
In some extreme cases, having full-on mental breakdowns just from the thought of throwing something away. Obviously, there are several problems with this. Hoarding often creates extremely cramped living conditions, fire hazards, hygiene issues, and plenty of other negative side effects. Hoarding ranges from mild to severe. I mean, most people have hoarded something, whether it's not wanting to get rid of your old Pokemon cards, video games, or any nostalgic items. These are examples of healthy hoarding. Where it becomes an issue is when it's severely impacting your mental state, the environment around you, or if it's impacting your daily functioning. That's when it becomes a real problem. It should also be noted that there is a wide range of reasons someone might become a hoarder. There is no one-size-fits-all reason for this condition. It could be trauma-related or as simple as growing up with nothing of your own, so you hold emotional attachment to material items. To someone who has never seen hoarding firsthand, it can be incredibly frustrating. I remember watching these reality TV shows and thinking,
I always wonder if that's why I collect a lot.
Throw it away. How hard is it? I really lacked empathy for these people, and it wasn't until I matured a bit that I realized these people have a compulsion and obviously need professional help. You know, hoarding disorder is very closely related to OCD. Would I tell someone with OCD to just stop doing something? I realized I was pretty ignorant on the topic, so I've done my best to research it and found that it's incredibly interesting. With a surface level understanding of what hoarding is, let's dive into South Park's episode.
All I know about is my
Inception.
girlfriend loves the show.
The episode starts with Butters delivering a note from Wendy, Stan's girlfriend.
We need to talk.
Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, Cartman is spot on. Nothing positive in the history of relationships has ever come from a "we need to talk" letter. Wendy can then be heard telling her friends that she's worried Stan has a serious problem. Stan confronts her and she lets him know they need to have a conversation about Stan's locker.
Well, it's just a little messy.
No, Stan, it's called hoarding, and if you don't get help, I don't know how much longer I can be with you.
Stan is pretty much in disbelief, even questioning if Wendy is really serious. Right from the start, we see how hoarding impacts not just the hoarder themselves, but also those around them. This is something they heavily emphasize on the TV shows. People have literally had their kids taken away due to their hoarding or caused serious injury to a family member. Also, Stan's reaction here is spot on. Hoarders are often in denial about how serious their issue is. There is even something called clutter blindness, which is something almost every hoarder has. It's when they become so accustomed to their environment they no longer notice the mess. They're able to mentally block out just how horrible it is.
Yeah,
Wendy asks Stan if he would be willing to throw some stuff away, and he agrees. Again, thinking that this is no big deal and he's just a bit messy and disorganized. She even calls in an expert to help Stan with his hoarding, and we get a look inside of his locker.
What? Come on, it's not that bad.
I'd like to highlight that there is a significant distinction between hoarding and simply being lazy or messy. Our friend Asmongold here is a good example of this. He's a multi-millionaire who lives among roaches, yet he wouldn't be classified as a hoarder, just simply a messy human being with clutter blindness. My point is, not all hoarders are lazy, and not all lazy people are hoarders. You can definitely be both though. Stan, however, is a legitimate hoarder. The expert starts off trying to get rid of a pencil box, something that Stan probably does actually need, and Stan lets him know not to throw it away. He then moves on to a broken toothbrush.
Well, it's good to have that because sometimes I really want to brush after lunch and
But it's broken.
It gets progressively worse, and Stan becomes unwilling to throw away a moldy sandwich filled with maggots.
Well, that, I kind of need that. Let's just keep that.
It's funny because while watching this, you're probably thinking, wow, that's hilarious, but it's obvious South Park is exaggerating. There's no way anyone would actually keep expired moldy food, right?
So you're gonna eat moldy bread?
No, I'm gonna pick the mold up.
God help us. We then see
yeah,
Stan
dude,
start to
what?
mentally break down, and he even starts to become self-aware that he has a problem.
I don't know.
Did God
Maybe
help
we should
us?
go talk to the counselor.
So, while watching Hoarders, I've always wondered why they don't just make the person leave the area and clean up the entire house while they're away at a hotel or something. This is because simply removing items would only address the immediate problem.
Yeah,
The hoarder
it's
needs to agree to
mental.
let go of things in order to truly rehabilitate, and obviously that would be way less entertaining. These shows can appear exploitative at times, but they also do plenty of good, and saved many people from their hoarding condition. It's kind of like when someone records a video of them doing something nice, like you're kind of a douchebag, but you did help someone. It's one of those things everyone will have a different opinion on, so I'll let you think for yourself, but the entertainment value cannot be debated. Stan visits the school counselor, Mr. Mackey, who appears to have a hoarding issue of his own. Stan explains that he's been showing signs of hoarding, and Mr. Mackey replies,
Hoarding? Okay, what's that?
Hoarding.
Stan
okay.
explains what hoarding is, and Mackey says that he's never heard of it before. Clearly.
Don't you touch that! That's not something to throw away. If you throw that away, I will you in the mouth.
The expert diagnoses Stan as a Class 3 hoarder, and Mackey as Class 5. When I heard this, I was wondering if hoarding levels were a real thing or if South Park just made it up for dramatic effect. There is a national study on compulsive disorganization where they actually developed a scale on the levels of hoarding. Stage 1 being minor clutter and level 5 being unlivable spaces and fire hazards. Stan's
Yeah, that's
parents
wild. When
mention
you
that
start
he's always
making,
been
like, little
fairly clean
paths
at
through your
home and
house
they
with
haven't
trash.
noticed anything out of the
I always thought that's
ordinary with
crazy.
his behavior. The expert... Wait, I'm just realizing he was given a name, but I keep calling him the expert. Dr. Chinstrap? Yeah, I don't know. When I Google it, I just get pictures of a beard style, penguins, or a football helmet. Anyways, he admits that they don't know all the details on what causes hoarding, but that it
Dr.
often
Chinstrap.
relates to some type of psychological trauma, and they would like to evaluate Stan and Mackey. At the end of their discussion, they bring up animal hoarding, which is a real thing, by the way, and incredibly sad because the animals are usually not taken care of very well. But this reminds Randy to bring up a guy who he saw hoarding animals.
We've received some disturbing reports that you might be hoarding sheep.
When I rewatched this episode, I laughed probably a little too hard at this joke. Sometimes it's the stupidest ones that get me. So Dr. Chinstrap takes Stan, Mackey, and the sheep herder
It's pronounced hoarder.
to give them regression therapy. If you don't know what this is, it's basically a type of psychotherapy using hypnosis that helps people explore past events and traumas to help them understand their current behavior. This technique can be used when people buried traumatic events into their subconscious and might not even fully remember them if they wanted to. So the doctor starts his hypnosis technique.
Blowing on the cloud. Floating.
Oh my God!
Sorry, I just got a weird gas bubble for a sec.
Good one, Matt and Trey. Good one. It eventually starts working and we get to explore the mind of young Mr.
You alright?
Mackey. It shows Mackey being confronted by one of his childhood bullies.
You snitched and told the principal I was smoking.
Oh, well,
The Freya cam.
smoking's bad. Okay.
As he
You doing
runs
over there,
off, we
girl?
learn that Stan and the shepherd got caught in Mackey's dream
Acting
as
up or
well.
something. What are you doing?
How's that even possible?
They try to explain how it's possible, and it's obviously
licking your
South Park
paws?
poking fun at the confusing aspect of Inception. I know someone just heard that and is thinking, actually, Inception isn't confusing, you're just not an intellectual. Okay, yeah, buddy. I will say it makes a lot more sense on your second watch, and it's not a bad movie. It's not a movie you want to watch for the first time stoned. Well, maybe. Back
Yeah,
in the
I'd say
dream, we
maybe.
see Mackie in his old room,
Just don't plan
and
to
surrounded by a bunch of
understand it the
toys.
first time.
I haven't quite reached
Same thing with
Unk
Tenet.
status yet, so I only recognize a few of these, but even I feel some nostalgia from this clip. We got Light Bright, Rock'em Sock'em Robots, Simon. Anyways, Stan is desperately trying to get Mackie to wake up, and he is again visited by his bullies. They tell him that they're gonna get their revenge at the upcoming school field trip. Dr. Chinstrap tells Randy that it's actually possible to die in the dreams. So Randy takes it upon himself to go inside and save Stan.
All right, you want to risk your ass? Fine. You see a cloud. It's a fluffy cloud, floating, happy.
Except that Randy is a butterfly and is having too much fun to even care about the situation anymore.
I'm gonna go find me some butterfly poon.
The most Randy thing ever. The
butterfly
doctors
poon.
realize that Randy has become completely useless, and they say they should have waited for the true experts.
Who are the experts?
So remember how at the start of the video I mentioned that this episode caused a lot of controversy?
We basically ripped off these guys from College Humor, but we didn't mean to.
To my knowledge, this is the only time in South Park's history that there were serious allegations against them for plagiarism.
That doesn't sound very difficult.
It is.
Why?
Doesn't sound so hard.
It is.
Why?
We don't have time for this.
Okay, fine.
We don't have time for this.
Okay, fine.
Sometimes thoughts of my dead wife manifest themselves as trains.
Sorry, it's my bad. Sometimes my thoughts of my dead wife manifest themselves as trains.
This College Humor video released 2 months before the South Park episode aired. It obviously looks pretty bad. But how exactly could this happen? Matt and Trey aren't complete idiots and wouldn't just rip off someone else's work, especially one of the most popular internet creators of the
Yeah,
time.
I can't believe
Inception
that.
was still only in theaters during production of this episode. Trey Parker hadn't seen the movie yet. If you know anything about South Park, you know that Trey does most of the heavy lifting on the show, so them doing a parody of something he hasn't even seen yet is already asking for trouble. They tried finding a pirated version of the movie online and could only find potato quality torrents of it, so they started looking at parodies of Inception online that Trey could use for a reference. When Matt saw this College Humor parody, he told Trey that it's exactly what Inception was, and Trey took that as if they were quoting Inception instead of making their own original dialogue.
This was absolutely one where it just slipped through the production process. I wasn't paying attention to what it was. Trey had never seen the movie and assumed those were lines in the movie, and it's just a huge up.
This story does have a happy ending though, with Matt Stone calling one of the guys at College Humor to apologize and give his side of the story. It turns out they were big fans of the show and were pretty chill about the entire thing, and they all lived happily ever after and then kissed. In all seriousness, it really wasn't that big of a deal, but it could have been had the guys at College Humor wanted to take some type of legal action. Matt even offered post-production credit on future reruns of the episode, among other things, and they didn't ask them for anything except wanting to take them out for drinks. College Humor has died off over the years, and they have even rebranded to the name Dropout. It's sad to see their channel pretty dead these days, but you gotta have respect for how they handled the situation. Let's get back to the episode and find out what caused Mackie's hoarding issues. Sharon says pretty much what Matt's opinion of Inception was here.
Just because an idea is overly convoluted and complex doesn't make it cool.
If this was your opinion of Inception at the time, this is how people would respond to you.
You just don't get it because you're not smart enough.
The dream experts take action and join Mackie's dream.
just don't get
Back
it.
in the dream, we see Mackie on his field trip, and we meet Woodsy Owl, who, by the way, is a real mascot.
I feel like that's
was
Severance at the
floored
moment.
when I learned
Everybody's
this.
just-
I
you
thought
just don't
this
get it.
character was something
don't-
South Park made up, kind
I
of like a
love it, but
ripoff
that's like-
of Smokey Bear, but nope,
Like the show's
definitely
being
real.
told in reverse.
Help keep America looking good, okay?
Does anyone else get Butters vibes from the kid version of Mr. Mackey? Anyways, Mackie, Stan, and the Shepherd get paired with the bullies for their field trip group. And then we see the dream experts made it inside the dream.
Yeah, in RuneScape,
the
I'm
bullies
just trying to
chase
get,
Mackie, and
one, my
Stan
fishing
tells
and
him that
cooking
he has to
output.
face whatever happens
Trying to
so
get a
that
lot
he
of
can
lobsters,
learn why
and
they're
I'm gonna
all
go fight
hoarding.
some giants
But I literally heard
for their
sheep.
big bones.
Shut up!
While this is all going on, the doctors realize none of the people they sent in the dream are getting anything done. So they need to recruit the most powerful dream infiltrator in the world.
Hello, Freddy.
I love Nightmare on Elm Street, man. This is like one of the only horror movie franchises that actually made me lose sleep when I was younger. Don't get me wrong, there were a bunch of scary, solid
Yeah,
horror
Freddy
movies
Krueger
from
missed
this
me.
era, but the idea of not being able to fall asleep or you get a visit from Freddy was a generational idea. Mackie is now ready to fight his bullies after a pep talk with Stan. When? Yeah, I'm not risking showing that making South Park videos is stressful enough. They assume now that all the bullies are dead, Mackie can wake up from his dream. We learn that the true reason for Mackie's hoarding was that he was touched by Woodsy Owl. And then Freddy Krueger kills him and saves the day. Stan comes to the realization that he doesn't even want to know the reason behind his hoarding, and he decides that he's just going to throw everything away on his own. He says that after going through all that stress and seeing what happened to Mackie, he doesn't want any part of therapy.
How do you know that wasn't your therapy.
As I mentioned earlier, hoarding can be caused by a variety of reasons. Usually, hoarding is a symptom of other mental health issues. It's pretty rare for someone to be a natural hoarder without other mental struggles, ranging from impulsivity, anxiety, or OCD. It can also stem from childhood experiences. If you grew up in poverty, had your belongings thrown away, or face any type of neglect, you're more likely to become a hoarder. Another common reason is grief. Not wanting to throw away something from a loved one who has passed can lead to a chain reaction of hoarding. You'll also notice that hoarding is usually seen in older people. It's quite uncommon for an 18-year-old to have hoarding issues. Though not unheard of, it's something that usually worsens as you age. The last and probably most obvious reason for hoarding is growing up with parents who were hoarders. Even if you were negatively affected by it or you hated hoarding at the time, it's a behavior that can be subconsciously ingrained into you. Almost 3% of Americans struggle with hoarding, which means there are likely people watching this video right now who are hoarders, or at the very least are affected by someone who is one. And I'd be very interested to hear your stories and thoughts about how South Park portrayed this mental condition. According to IMDb, this is a pretty middle-of-the-pack South Park episode. I personally have it higher than it's ranked, but I can understand the Inception parody is something not everyone would enjoy. I'm just now realizing I forgot to remind people to like and subscribe during the video. And considering only like 20% of people watch outros, that is a big rest in peace for me. So if you could help out with that, it would be very much appreciated. As always, thank you for watching.
Through the Decades is the largest card shop in America. The card market has been in a down cycle for the last 2 years, but despite this, Through the Decades has thrived. I want to find out how, so Alex, the owner of this shop, has agreed to give me a personal tour and reveal his secrets to growing a collectibles business. So folks, this here, the man of the hour, Alex, thank you so much.
Thank you. I think it's called Destined Bonds coming out or something. It's like a new
We've been in this location a little over 2 years, and we've been in Louisville right at 12 years.
So you've been growing it gradually. I've heard from some people that this may be the largest card shop in the nation. Is that true? Do you have any idea?
I don't honestly know.
Okay.
I would say it might be close to the largest showroom. I'm sure there's some people that might have bigger back end than us, but for the viewers, it is 18,000 square feet.
Well, I'm already rubbernecking and looking around at all the different sections of this store. Do you mind giving us like a mini tour?
Of course.
As just the different kinds of product you're selling.
So quick, when you first walk in, if you go to the right, you're going to hit gaming. If you hit left, you're going to go sports. And as you go back, you're going to kind of see where they kind of come together.
Yeah.
And I can kind of explain that as I go, but as a general rule of thumb, everything is a part of mine and everyone's that works here's childhood, which hopefully transitions into the customer's childhood as well.
Well, and my favorite part of the store, the video games, is also back there. I spent a good amount of time back there myself. Where do you want to start?
Let's just start, I always go to the right first.
Okay.
And then we can go our way around.
So let me ask you as we're heading over here.
Please.
Owning a card store is a profession that is very romanticized. It's easy to kind of build it up in your mind, right?
Sure.
Because everyone loves this stuff. What can you tell me about the day-to-day reality of running a shop like this?
I will kind of tell the story. It's probably been heard a couple times at this point, but I started my first business not to have bosses. You want to make your own decisions. You want to make your own calls. And in the end, the bigger you get, the more people you answer to, even if you own it. And I think that's the first thing business owners don't truly understand is that you have one boss or two bosses if you work for a company. And if you own the company, everyone that works for you is kind of your boss. Every distributor, every manufacturer, everything you want to go into is your boss. That door becomes my boss because some days I just spend all day working on it. And so it becomes the control of me. So I don't get me wrong, in the end, I love that I get to make my own decisions. But I think one thing, as you said, that's glamorized is that you're at the dependency of so many people. But honestly, the more I've done it, the more I kind of love that part of it. You really get to see their dreams and what they want and what they want to accomplish. And I love being able to work with them to help them meet their goals. And I think that's the most enjoyable part.
That's so wise. I need to ask you more of that, but first, what are we looking at?
So the first thing you'll see
I'm an OG player.
Sets from the earlier
accidentally
years.
Swapped my old account to R3.
Foils.
And I
then
can't
it
go
goes
back.
into, this is the beta case, this is the alpha case, and then behind you what Jeremy's going through is every one of our boxes. So every set that's ever been produced in Magic has its own 5-row, Everything is
56.
alphabetized from A to Z, obviously.
A little 56.
So any card you might want to look at
my
or
OG
ask
account's
for,
like
we
level
pull it
100.
for you.
Do you have
But
any
I don't
idea
even do anything
how
on it
many
because I don't know how to
cards
play
are in
R3,
this
so I
store?
went back here.
I have no
where I
idea.
know it.
I don't even want to guess. I had millions upon millions.
Happy
you know,
Wednesday.
but
Good
I
morning.
don't honestly know. I mean, you assume each 5-row holds between
The
5
OS.
and 7,000 cards. There's your starting point.
Oh yeah, because
So-
this is just one corner, so we'd definitely be looking at probably north of 10 million.
I don't even want to guess, but yes, I do think it probably is. You know, but to be fair, most common cards are a penny or two, so
Yeah.
it's not an
then I've
incredible
been obsessed with
overall arcing value.
resell
But it is
and
the fact that if you need it, we
hobby
probably
content
have it.
at the
We can
moment.
probably
So I've just
fulfill
been
it
watching
for you.
all these, like,
so then
expo
you have each of the magic sections divided by color,
episodes
so
of
it's
this
white,
guy
blue,
walking
black,
around
red,
selling
green.
stuff
Then you get
and just getting
multicolor
deals for
artifact
stuff.
and land. And then on our walls are sealed product, which Monday is restock, so it looks like we haven't quite got to that this morning. But we like to have an open box and sealed boxes of every product that's been out since Innistrad. We like to keep everything in stock as best as humanly possible. Obviously, we sell a lot too, so we're constantly reordering to make sure we keep it all in.
So
But
the
that's our
oldest
objective.
stuff would be over 10 years old then,
Yeah,
right?
we're right at
That's gotta
12
be
years
super
for-
expensive to keep in stock.
It is kind of, yes. You know, you could look at the 3 boxes. You have Avacyn Restored is 530, Dark
Right.
Ascension's 340, and Innistrad's 1,000, give or take. Obviously, prices adjust normally and average. But
Good call.
that's about the ballpark of when we started, which those boxes were.
Also
I
probably
remember
not talking
pre-selling
into the mic
Avacyn Restored
directly.
for $90
I have
a
this new
box.
like
Well, and what an exceptional service to provide people, because under any normal circumstances, you'd have to go online to
I have
get
a new
something
sound
like this, to be
canceller
able to come to one place.
on the
I'm
mic.
huge on instant
So and I
gratification,
mumble a
and I
lot,
assume
which is
there's
terrible.
enough customers out there that have the same thing I do. That it's
Wow.
But I made the
worth
mistake
paying an extra $50
of transferring my
$100 still
RuneScape
to have
free
it today,
account
enjoy the
or
item,
my old
and
RuneScape
not have
account
to
to
wait for it
RuneScape
to be
3, and I
shipped
guess
or
you can't
delivered
go
to you.
back.
Totally, and especially with like
So I
some
wanna
of these
say about
used
a year
cards,
ago
to
we
be
made
able
new
to
accounts
feel
on
it, look at it,
OSRS.
see like the conditions.
Right now,
all
I'm
over
trying to
the
get
place.
a bunch of
You know,
food so I can go
we
fight
don't order
giants.
as much
and
as I
raise up my
love
prayer.
online and what it does, and it's great for certain things.
And I've just been in the mood to grind something.
I think
don't know,
we're
just
the
like farm,
experience.
like
Yeah.
this.
You come in here because you want it now. You want to play in the tournament tonight.
I don't know why.
And you can walk in here and get
But
it
my
instead of
gaming
ordering
needs
it and having to wait till next week to
are right
play.
here.
So
This
that's
and
why we
cutting
take
wood. I was
inventory
mining
so
yesterday.
serious.
That's amazing.
And then you can see our overstock of sealed.
Like every once in a while I get that
up,
itch.
Obviously, as we
Maybe it's
stock,
because I've
as
played
you
this for
pass by,
so
all
many
the
years over the
supplies,
years.
Deck boxes, sleeves, binders, play mats, you know, everything down the line.
Does this stuff, I'm guessing because this has much more general appeal, does this stuff sell pretty quickly for you
It
guys,
does.
the supplies?
I mean, we always say
Man, the video's just loud.
this is your hobby. It is no different than if you're a car guy or if you video games or whatever. You're going to take care of your product, and the best way to do that is sleeves, deck boxes, top loads, etc.
Yeah.
So we want you to be able to protect your investment because it is. Think about if you were buying Innistrad 12 years ago.
Actually, here,
what your
this
collection
is,
would be worth. Well, as a general rule of thumb, collectibles
I used
go
to do
up.
this
Right.
And
like
Well,
back
it
in the
depends on
day.
condition that you keep them
And
in.
We used
if
to
you
have
keep
to
it in
run
good
all the
condition,
way-
your collection goes up more.
That's
You know,
amazing.
so
Edgeville?
we encourage you to take care of your
I don't think it's
investment.
Edgeville.
And another thing I wanted to ask about is this little
Right
section
here, like
over
the
here. You've got
lobsters.
multiple of these,
We
which
do.
is
I never really. I played
just
members very
massive. You call these
scattered.
5 rows?
Yes,
Like
they
a month
are.
here and there. I didn't have the,
Of people to
money to
just
play
go
members
through.
all the time back
So
in the day.
basically, this might be foils, tokens, special lands,
Used to
and
have
each
to run
department has
all
a
the
different
way to this
section.
bank.
And
Lure
they are
lobsters if we
honestly
wanted to.
value-conscious opportunities.
then the other
to
day
get
I
into the game.
found
So you know, if it's in a
Right.
clear
one of those
sleeve, it's
deposits
$1,
that they
which
put
is
in.
probably, you know,
I'm wondering how long it's been there and how
better
long
than
I've been
bulk
missing it.
Rare foil, but not as good as making it into our display cases. First register stand, and then our kind of high-end sealed product, if you will. So you'll go back to
That is
you know,
beautiful.
original Pokemon and revised.
Am I allowed to
Of course,
take a closer
absolutely.
look over here? Some of these Pokemon sets really bring me
99
back
farming,
to my childhood.
woof.
Like Team
Good
Rocket,
shit.
I opened those packs. Gym Challenge, I absolutely love.
99 farming.
It's
My
crazy.
my
like,
quest was always
even
99 wood
just
cutting,
seeing
and now
the
they even go
artwork on those
beyond
boxes on
100.
those
I don't
packs
know when that
is a great
happened.
right back.
It does. It just takes you right back to the flea
Or at least in
market I
RuneScape
remember
3 they
walking
do.
into,
I haven't
picking
checked
them
this
up,
one.
You know,
But
Oh
my
gosh.
favorite skill has always
Ooh.
been woodcutting. Farming is
This
awesome.
too. Oh wow, the theme decks. That is crazy. I think I had literally every single one of those.
Oh, yeah,
The
okay.
starter set
OSRS
over
doesn't
there,
go
a lot of them
beyond.
are still sealed. I mean, it's
But
it's
the
just
R3
incredible
version
the
goes
depth
beyond
of
100.
inventory
Once I
that
saw that, I was like,
you
what?
have amassed in this store.
It is. It's probably maybe a fault of mine because I
Okay.
like things so much.
Yeah.
But at minimum, I think it gives everybody an opportunity to see what is out there, what your current investment turns into, you know, where it can go, and you still get to do something with it while you go.
That's the only thing that sucks is playing this account. It's like I don't have any of my like old
because that's not true
cosmetics or anything. Because yeah, on the other account I have
in this marketplace.
When
they
people
give you
come to
certain
and
capes for
ask you
playing
about,
for so
like,
many years.
It could be collectible cards, could be sports cards, Magic,
I'm
whatever.
such a dummy. I should have never.
What do you tell them?
The same
Upgraded
thing
to
I would want to
RuneScape
tell
3.
anyone who would listen is.
But it was
have
like
a
all the rage
401k,
back then.
Have a savings deposit.
Yeah.
Part. You need to have those things. These don't replicate
Picking myself
that.
now.
But as a general rule of thumb, it will outrun most of those.
Wow.
But it doesn't compound interest like those. So it's two different things. So I want to be very clear.
That's fascinating. 'Cause that's something you don't normally think about is the compounding effect.
The compound interest is why you have to have your 401k and your savings account and all of that. But this is still a fun way to spend your discretionary income while still having gains and get to enjoy the product while you're doing it.
Right.
So most things you buy, a TV is a depreciating asset, but you like it because it entertains you. Well, this entertains you with still also the opportunity of an appreciating asset. So that's why I think it's one of the best things in the world. It really
What's up,
is.
Spud?
Yeah.
It's tough to argue with how good
The world's favorite potato.
Another thing I wanted to ask you about is you were talking about having
Oh
so
yeah,
many
I can only
bosses,
imagine because
basically,
that's why I'm
earlier
stuck
on,
with
from
only
the
use.
door to all
Once
the
I get to
employees, all the
60,
different
that's all I
elements
know.
that go into a business, and
Isn't there
that
those
really
like magic
resonated with
logs
me
and
as
stuff?
I've tried to scale my
My one buddy was
operation.
always a member.
Do you have any advice when it comes to like the people who are kind of in my stage of just starting out hiring?
Okay.
Because at this point, you've probably
I
hired.
shouldn't even say it. I
can
had the
see
money
here
for
at least
members
5
back then.
people.
Sure.
What do you look
But
for?
I was spending it on
I
like
think you have to look for
trading cards,
them wanting your
collectibles
same
and
income.
stuff.
General rule of thumb is I'm looking for somebody who's
If I ever
hungry,
get back
and I
into
don't
this
mean
full
literally
swing, I
doesn't
would,
have
I would
money
probably
to eat.
devote.
I mean,
It just
somebody
depends
who
if I ever
wants
got
more.
these skills
Yeah.
up. I'd
Because
probably
I
work
want
on
more.
free to play
And
for a long
everybody
time.
wants more. It's
And
trained
then
in
that
us.
once I get
So
through
you're
those
looking
like
for people
skill
who are
caps
ambitious,
for
you're
free to
looking for people
play,
who are
maybe
outgoing.
I'll
You know, you're looking for people
dump some
that
money into a month or two.
match enough with your in game, but see maybe the path.
that's what
is
I do
different
remember liking.
because
I
you
remember
might be
liking
missing-
farming.
I learned as much from them as they learned from me.
I've never
Because
done
I can tell you how I
construction
did it,
skills.
what
Something
worked for
tells me
me.
I'll like that.
But
The whole
doesn't
house
mean I
building.
didn't take the worst path and just end up in the same end. So I love to look for what they can bring that I can't, you know? And it's hard for entrepreneurs like ourselves to acknowledge
I didn't even know they
that
had
we're
redwood.
not the
They have
best at
redwood?
everything. It's just ingrained in our head.
Blister
We're
wood
just,
tree.
we just do things. That's who we are.
Yeah.
And so it's hard for us to go, hey, I need help.
Yeah, there's
And
Magic
more
75.
importantly
I
is
remember my
need
friend
help,
used to
and I
cut and
also
farm Magic.
really trust where you're going to go.
Never knew
That's
there was
why I picked
redwood,
you.
though.
We've just started picking up One Piece. We've been carrying Lorcana since the start. And then the Star Wars Unlimited TCG has just come out.
Wow.
So those
and
are our
One
new
Piece
three.
is popping right now, right?
It has been
super
incredibly popular.
Wow.
Then board games.
Huge board game.
Hey, it
section,
depends
by
how
the way.
much I'm playing it.
Way bigger than I even realized. Have you been expanding this recently?
And it is kind of always in the art of expanding,
Okay.
you know, but it always contracts too
Am I
because you sell
clicking?
stuff and you got to remember to go back and reorder it. So,
And Spud,
Do you
this
have
is
a
just
lot of the
random
folks
playlist
who
of.
come here and
I've
like
been watching a
play
lot of
these
like.
games at the tables along
so
with
we
like
generally
trades
do
and
on
stuff.
like Saturday, I believe we have
I don't know
a
what
board
you
game
wanna
day,
call
and we'll
this.
hope to add a
Collectible
weekday one.
content?
We'd like to at least have one weekday and one weekend time slot for
It just
everybody.
goes to
We
different,
just
like,
started
card
doing
shops and
comic
stuff around the
books.
nation.
Predominantly only doing graded stuff.
Watching him
that
do- and
comes
also
in.
doing, like,
We
flate-
would love
like,
to
trade
consider
flips and
going
stuff for
into
games.
new releases and pull boxes and those things, but it doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
It kind of goes into where you say like, is there opportunity?
But
Sure.
it's always like once a year
You
I
know,
play
but
RuneScape.
if
I don't know
we
why.
can't do it well,
I guess it's
the
kind of like an
opportunity
addiction.
will be lost.
I'm trained
And you
once a
get
year.
one chance. So
To
we
hop
have to
on.
make sure that we're prepped for it all the way. And
Wow.
if you just start carrying comic books and you're not ready for it, you're
Oh,
gonna
construction.
fail, in my
Oh,
opinion.
you're telling me
So
for
I think
construction.
one of the
Okay.
biggest leads to failure is people aren't ready for its success.
Only great
So
for
we
its
were doing
benefits,
video games
teleportation,
for almost 2 years
rules,
before
and
we put the
repairs.
first one out.
I
We
thought it
were
was just like
buying them,
strictly building a
stocking them
house or
up,
something.
reviewing
See, I don't
them in
even. I have a
boxes,
warped
sorting
idea
them,
on it.
Getting an idea of what they priced for it that day, getting a price for what they priced for 2 years later when we did.
Oh,
put
yeah,
them
you do
out.
get a
So we
house,
were
okay.
constantly tracking that for almost.
But I
a year
guess
and a
what,
half,
like
almost
higher
2 years
levels in it?
before
Jeez.
we eventually even put it in the store because we didn't want to walk in and throw 7 video games in a case and go, hey, we do video games. We knew
Wow.
we needed inventory before we even got going, or people like yourself would have walked in
Lot
and
of
go,
shit.
nice try, and
But
you'd have
now,
never come again.
But now instead, you have people like me walking in and
Or
being like,
wowed.
"Oh, wow, this is
My
basically
God,
a
I'm
video
getting like
game."
Fallout
Yep.
76
Like
flashbacks.
huge pleasant surprise factor there.
Yes,
Seeing all the
that's
certain
what we aim
stuff.
for. So Star Wars,
Make a pretty sick chapel, though.
Simpson figures. Then you go into Power Rangers. There was a few other
Church of
miscellaneous there. Then you go into He-Man.
Love it.
Yep. And then Transformers, Mask, which was one of mine from my childhood.
Okay.
Ninja Turtles. G.I. Joe's actually our newest section. So
premium Ninja Turtles figures too. Those are cool.
And then I guess at this point we kind of go into your bread and butter.
Yeah,
I knew you'd be excited to get here.
Let's go. Wow. Yeah, so this is a section that I'm very familiar with, and you didn't always
60,
like the setup has changed somewhat recently because so I don't think these shelves were even there.
They were not. They actually transitioned from over there and slid over to here because we really just had more than could fit. So
yeah, even still, I guess that's a long shot.
Oh, they're kind of empty.
So I do imagine this RuneScape feeling will probably fizzle out in like a month.
They were full.
Or I need a new game to come out, I guess.
Exist.
Yeah.
So you start transitioning your overflow. In this particular case, we tried to go price point. So our logic was if it was more than $5, we'd go cabinet. If it was under $5, it'd go on shelves. I would speculate that in the next 6 or 8 months, it will probably end up being $10 because our inventory won't match the space required. So you might end up with a shelf with $5 games, a shelf with $10 games, and then everything over 10 would be in the shelves. But that's where you can't predict. You just have to roll with however it plays out.
How does
is that
video
from Far Cry?
games
Is that a Far Cry
compare,
reference?
like as a part of the business to like cards? Like what are the pros and cons?
If not, I don't know who Joseph Seed is.
The pros are, though condition is incredibly important, as a general rule of thumb, you either play the game or don't actually play the game. So as long as the disc works, there's at least some pro to it. I think that you get universal use out of video games. I think you can play it by yourself most of the time, and I think that's a massive advantage to a customer. You know, if a Magic
I have
deck
so many
or
trading
Yu-Gi-Oh
cards,
deck or
and I've been
whatever,
trying to get in the
probably need
headspace
another
of
person
maybe
play
starting
with.
to sell
I think
some.
this is a great one-person opportunity.
Just like I've never
that
really
our store
sold
didn't provide
anything
before.
online,
I think
like
some of the
e-commerce wise. So I've just been watching a lot of content about it, hoping it'll maybe push me to that edge.
Oh, interesting.
And that doesn't completely match what our business model has been.
Yeah.
So if you notice, we don't carry new games. We don't carry new consoles. We only carry what we feel can at least maintain the value you put into it. We don't want a disappointed customer that buys a whatever game. 3-6 months later, the next version comes out, and that game goes from you paid $60 to no one wants it. Madden comes to mind as a $60, $70 whatever new game that every sports football person buys, and then 1 year later it's $1 because everyone wants the new one. I think that's the biggest downfall. That's kind of our start.
Oh yeah, I could see it.
Round out the video games, you'll see some of our rare inbox or high-end stuff, that kind of the fun things, if you will.
Man, and I have to say, like it's hard to get this many complete.
Yeah, I don't know why the idea
of
just like owning a card shop sounds
I'm really
awesome
impressed
to me.
with your selection,
but I know it comes with
it's only a part of
it's like small margins you're dealing with and all this other stuff. I don't know, it just seems awesome.
But is a fairly large selection even compared
Back
to
to
those
the Future
that
3
specialize in
game?
it. The biggest thing was when by the time we got into video games,
system
we'd
is
been
that
in the
like
market in
Dreamcast or
Louisville
something?
for a decade. So one, we had lots of customers that played video games, so it's pretty easy to say, hey, now we're doing video games, bring in what you don't want. And two is we had a reputation for 10 years of paying fair and pricing fair.
That is the first question.
Hey, hi, Canada.
Because we haven't really talked about the
That's who I have like boxes. That's what got me in the headspace of it. I have so many like cards that I could offload. I have so many collectibles. I just don't.
Open a box and sit there with
you know, interest has changed over years. I have so many pops.
Whatever it is, but it is designed.
When me and my girlfriend, like when we were first getting together, we both had a pop collection. It's kind of one of the common grounds we had together.
So we encourage.
And then when we got together, we combined our pop collection, and there's so many.
We encourage you to test your at-home board game with our customers. We encourage all of those things.
Yeah.
So that is what the.
But then we stopped collecting because there just became so many. Like we didn't know where to put them anymore.
This is kind of what always has the highest margin. Well, I don't think
they make a pop for everything now. It's crazy.
What our worst margin is can you fathom a retail store where the entire middle of the store has nothing for sale and you cannot.
Oh, that's a good point too. Yeah, like the
also,
bonds.
This real estate is expensive.
Oh,
that's what I was working on originally. I was working on.
To ask you, like, from
I have a couple mil on my other character, my R3.
That, like this space is
and I was starting to raise
positive or
money for
negative
like
in
a
the bottom
bond or
line
something
of the
for
story.
that
Because on one hand,
eventually.
you have the community.
Sure.
With this, I'm
Huge.
gonna have to work
Absolutely.
my
And
ass
people
off
support
because this
it
guy
because
doesn't really
they
have any
support
money making
me.
capabilities.
You know, I don't want to take that away.
But it's also really expensive.
It's really expensive.
Few
It's
logs,
really
but I don't have
expensive.
high
I
enough
think
level
just adding up the cost
to get
of the
them
tables
quick
and
enough.
chairs alone would kind of drop people's jaw.
Right.
Let alone its square footage monthly, plus it's a heating and cooling section, plus people that clean it every night for us, etc.
Yeah.
That's a
In
good
the
idea.
end,
Thanks for reminding me
it's
about
two-part.
that.
You really
Yeah,
do
maybe
wanna
I'll just work
give
towards
the
that. It's kind of like
community
a
what it
goal.
needs and deserves. And
I'll work towards the
I
amount
always
of a
use the word
bond.
magic is it's gathering. That's what makes it work. And I understand that they could buy all the cards and all the things from me, but if they don't have anywhere to play it and meet new people to play, then the game will die and it will not grow. And in the end,
It will not.
we're not here at all. So
Right.
there's a legit argument
some
that
Southern
it's the
twang
most
in it.
valuable space in the store, even though it brings in
Wow.
nothing. And I believe that, or I wouldn't have it.
Yeah.
But there is still a realistic bottom line of it costs a ton to have this much empty space.
No kidding. Well, and I also want to say on a personal note, like, I'm really grateful that places like this exist because on a whole, like, the studies are showing people are getting lonelier and lonelier. There's fewer and fewer places like this where you can come and like meet new people, right? And socialize and bond with people who
That's
are
why I gotta find a
interested
new
in the
one
same
near
things
me.
as
I
you.
had
Like,
one
it's
at the
so
last house I lived
Fundamental
in.
belief that over
I
the
had a
past
good
several
like trading
years,
card
we're
shop,
seeing it
and I don't want to drive
in
that far to it
brick-and-mortar
anymore.
malls and
I gotta
stores
find another
across
good
the
one because
generals
I
that
just
you're
miss
seeing
playing. I was
less
saying
and
this to
less
Joe the
in
other day.
person
I miss playing
business
cards
or retail transactions
in person.
And
Like, I
though
know I can play
believe
them in
that
an
is
app
true,
in my
because
phone.
Obviously, the data shows it to me. I can't argue with it.
It's just more fun to play with the
I can say
physical
that
cards.
We've
I
never
don't
had
know
a
why.
year that we went less. We've
And it's
only
been so
grown
long.
every year, and we attribute that to the fact that you can love cars.
A couple
but if you don't have
Magic
anybody
decks
to
I
share
could
it
try
with,
out.
Doesn't do any good.
On the note of
You gotta go
just
out.
doing the hardest thing, which
gotta
is
go out.
starting. If someone were to come to you and ask, Alex, I would love to get into the card space or sports cards or collectibles
Yeah, see,
or whatever.
I'm in
What
North
advice do you
Carolina in a
have?
pretty
Should I
like
open a
dense
store?
area, and
Should
there's
I
not
go
many
another
card
route,
shops.
or what words
And
of
if
wisdom do you
they
have for
are
that
card
person?
I
shops,
would ask them the same thing I would ask a family member, employee.
I'm not knocking them, but
best
I want
friend,
to say it's like
whatever. I
basic
would
stuff,
say,
you know, just like
what is your
Pokemon,
objective?
Magic.
And if your
They don't go
objective is
beyond
to
that.
Work from home.
I'm like,
then
why?
I
Or
would
the
say you
Lorcana,
probably should
like the
look
new
at an online
Lorcana
business.
thing.
If your objective is to interact with as many people as possible and you want to have a place to go, which is key for me, I have a brick and mortar because I
But
want
it's few and far
a place
between.
to go. I want to get up in the morning, be at a place, leave at a place. I still need that structure that a traditional job provides, but I have to give it to myself. So that is where, you know, you have to figure out.
Just
who
the
you
idea
are
of running a
fundamentally, what you
day-to-day
like.
card
Most
shop,
people
I
just
don't
go,
know, it
"Own
just
my own business,
sounds-
have a lot of money. And
Like they
there's
said,
so
I
many
romanticize
steps in
it
between.
in my head. I don't know why. It sounds so cool.
Anyone can say I want to start a business, and anyone I truly believe
And
can
I'm not saying I
produce
want to
profit.
start a business. Yeah,
I
just
think
like
how you're
boom.
going to do and what you're going to do with
But
it
the idea
between
sounds
is
cool.
fundamentally what happens.
That's why I want to play
And
one of those
that's where
TCG
you really
simulators,
have to-
the card shop
I don't
simulators.
believe in business plans. I don't really believe in the, okay, we did this much in sales this year and we're projecting this amount. This is what we're going to do it. That's not how my brain works. My brain works as kind of what you talk about, seeing
streets.
opportunity and where it exists. So my advice to people that want to start a
Getting wood
business
cutting.
is, A, just
Yeah, especially
do it.
fletching. I don't.
Because you're never going to know
That's
if you
going to be
don't.
drastically
Just
behind because
do
I
it.
can't even touch that.
But two is make damn sure that's what you actually want.
That's the one
You
thing
know,
I did like
the
about
alarm goes
R3,
off and
that
somebody
the upgraded
calls in
version,
and all
they let
these
you do
things
fletching
happen.
up to a
You
certain
know,
amount.
you know
Forget
that's
what it
you.
is.
And oftentimes,
But I got used
the
to
only
that.
way to really know is to try. Right.
Yeah, that's what I tell everybody. Like, there's no other way to find out if
Actually,
you like something or don't. It's called a first date.
Yeah.
Your first business is a first date with entrepreneurship.
Yeah. Wow. That's powerful. And if someone came up to you and was like, I want to open specifically a card store in 2024.
I'm
is that
terrible
something that you
remembering things, so I like to
genuinely
write things
recommend,
down
or
on little note
have
cards.
People miss the boat on that.
Crazy. But I'm
Don't
gonna write that
think
down.
anyone's missed the boat on any opportunity that they desire.
I'm definitely not going to remember
So
that.
we're
It's
here
called Win-
finally in the illustrious
Winter
sports
Todd?
card section. I'm
Never
excited
heard of
for
that
you
town.
to start to take us through this.
There's a run of 1960 baseball sets from 1960 to 1976. Some older sealed product that we've been able to pick up in collections. Like we always tell everybody, if you're going to buy one box,
That's
buy
half
two.
my problem too when I
One to
hop
open
back
and
in
enjoy,
after so
one to
long
put in
playing
the
these.
closet and forget
Never
you
can
have it.
remember
And this is a
locations.
testament of how it just always goes up.
Like
Never
I was gonna
hurts
do
to buy a couple and throw
because
one
my
in the
rune
closet.
crafting's at
Yeah, it's
1
true
on
because
this account. I
most
was gonna
of
actually start
these
working at that, but I
are
forget.
older than even the oldest.
I have to do a
MTG.
quest before I
You're
can
talking
start
about
mining it,
92,
right?
93 is one of my
And then
favorite
I
years 'cause it
totally
was
forget
Shaquille
where the
O'Neal's
talisman
rookie year.
locations are. I gotta look them
LSU
up.
fan. But as a kid, I mean, that pack might have been $1 or $2. It might have been a $50, $60 box, and now it's $325. You know?
Right.
So-
Got this gold bar box up here for
So,
$1,200.
Kobe Bryant's rookie year gold set. There's at some point where it goes down and then it'll go back up. You just have to ride it long enough.
Is that a hard
it's a
thing
good
about
point,
the
Spud.
card business, given that there are so many cycles, right? It does tend
It really
to be
does. It
up
matters
and
about
down,
if they
and
can
there's
move it
hype,
in the
and then
area.
there's
'Cause
crashes.
it's not that big
And
in
that's
certain
going to be
areas.
with anything. Now, our business is not built on the objective.
And you know
that things are gonna
Pokemon,
go
that's
up.
just
As a
like- I feel
general
like
rule of
everywhere has
thumb, If
Pokemon.
you're in safe, proven players and
I
popular
had this one place called
cards
Rally
and popular
Squirrel.
Sets,
It was a weird
over
name
a
like
period
that.
of time, there's going to
But
be
they
less
had
of it on the
everything, and then they
market.
also had like
And
weekly
as a
tournaments.
History, more people, everybody collects when it comes down
I don't
to
live
it.
so
They may not
close to
collect
them
what I
anymore,
collect,
which
but
is a shame.
everybody collects something.
Yeah.
That there will be more collectors as population just increases than there is items available. So it's just mathematically logical that it will go up. Now, again, there's exceptions to every
Mysterious
rule.
old man.
What are we looking at here?
So the middle two islands are all modern singles. So we generally define that as like
What?
current active players
Or just
recently
antisocial?
retired Hall of Famers. So
Okay.
basically Kobe Bryant years to current, 1996 to current. If you turn to the other side, it is all vintage. Everything's divided by sport, and then you'll see our name comes shining through in this moment. It's through the decades. So 71, 70, 69, 68, 67, you'll go backwards through the decades.
And
Yep.
fishing
So
lobsters
football,
at this
then
level is
basketball,
like
then
pulling
baseball
teeth,
at
man.
the end. Our
It
wall
hurts.
is divided in football, basketball, baseball, and it's sealed product generally from the past 2 or 3 years. Once it becomes more than a few years old, then we do run out of space. That's when they shift into those cabinets in the back that we showed you.
I'm interested what you were talking about earlier with people coming in here and looking specifically for product to flip, right? Like whether it's to
Sure.
grade
got
or
a
just
random
like
event.
immediately. You've got all these value boxes out here for people to look through. What's your philosophy on like people coming here and looking for stuff specifically to
love
make
it.
money on?
Have no problem with it. You come in here.
Right.
And probably make money off video games that you
I
buy.
try to when I do a good job.
We have no problem with it. It's one of the catch-22s. Whatever, 50% of our reviews are probably were overpriced. But also remember, no one's ever going to leave a review going, holy stole that it through the decades.
Right.
You know what I
Said
mean?
RuneScape
what our
last week
argument
got
is,
rid
is
of
we
lots of
priced it when
bots
we
on a
got it based
stream.
on what we paid for it, which we feel is a fair margin.
Yeah.
That's what I
If it
remember. I think
goes
of
down,
when I think of RuneScape.
Just
Also,
let
I
us
just think of
know.
like
it's not going to sell if we don't
farming
adjust the
bots.
price.
You said something really interesting in a previous interview that you did.
Okay.
That you give all or at least most of your employees full discretion to buy
Absolutely.
what they want, which I thought was
100%.
fascinating because that's a lot, that's a lot of responsibility.
There could be. Now, don't get me wrong. I think that there are times when they ask for my expertise, or they'll
Sure.
ask for a fellow employees or department head's expertise. But we do not have like a fine line of if it's over this amount or less than this amount, you can do it. Is it something that as we grow we might have to do? Yes. I will never say that that's not possible.
Yeah.
But as of right now, I think we have hired people that have a fundamental understanding of the products that they're in charge of. And if I am, for lack of better
Well,
words,
also, I can tell from the
micromanaging
size, they're
every
probably like
step
a
and every
volume
buy they
business.
do, well, then I
Right.
might as well just do it myself.
Right.
And two, that our production would go way down
Just
because I
move
can't
it.
do as much as 10
Move
people
it.
can instead
Fast
of just
money's
me.
better
Like,
than
it's crazy.
no
I hired
money.
them because I know that they're an expert in that game or product line. Why
Yeah.
in the world would I go
And
over
they
there
have
get in
the
their
stock.
way?
That's incredible. Yeah, there's a lot to be said for hiring the kinds of people that you don't need to micromanage. One of the things I always love to ask, because businesses in general, but especially collectibles businesses, it can be really easy to romanticize them. What would you say in this past 12 years,
Okay.
what comes to mind as your lowest moment, and how did you overcome it?
So the longest was kind of the opening and kind of the first 6 months of it was, I was working in New York. I had moved back home kind of just sporadically for a few months to kind of figure things out. Not
Or
home,
lobster.
but back to Kentucky. And both of my parents were diagnosed with cancer, very similar times, within a month or so of each other. And that kind of put me in this position where it's like, now it's really not great for me to leave Louisville or the Lexington area. So it kind of turned into this like necessary, I need to do something to kind of stay home and close for the next year or so. So that was kind of while I'm simultaneously opening the store and building my dream, I'm also having this low of, I am doing it because of necessity of needing to be close to home, making sure that financially everybody's responsible and taken care of. So that was a little bit of a low, but man, that first several weeks is really hard. And I don't think people talk about it enough. I don't think people...
Of opening a store?
Of just, because you think of it as the stress of your cleaning and doing everything.
I can only imagine.
Employee, but the real one is the brutal honesty of you sitting in there with not a single customer for minutes, hours, or days. And then someone walks in and you put on your shoes and you're all excited and you're helping them and they go, oh, this isn't what I thought it was. And they walk out.
Yeah.
And that's soul crushing.
Oh my God, dude. Make it sound like a Pixar film.
I spent years in this area. And I knew many of the collectors and many of the dealers in the area. And all I heard was, Alex, we want you to open a store. We want you to open a store. You're our favorite vendor at shows and all of these things. And you open a store and you think, oh, right, it's day one. Where are all of you? And none of them show up.
Wow.
And then week one, you're like, okay, hey, so-and-so, I opened the store, maybe you haven't heard. And it's hard to change people's patterns. It's hard to change their habits. And most importantly is you are starting from scratch, whether they know you or not, you know? And it was brutal. There are still just days where you just go, oh my gosh, this is brutal slow, you know? And it might be raining or it might be cold or school went back or school just got out or it's spring break and all of these things. But there's something every day. Our greatest competition isn't other people in this business.
Yeah, it's day to day.
Say it's the new World of Warcraft update.
Need more lobster.
It's the new Marvel movie that comes out on a Friday night.
Wow.
Like, man, new Star Wars came out. We just rented the entire theater and took all of our customers on Thursday. A, to show them thanks, B, because I'm a Star Wars nut job, and 3, because this was the way we could get everyone at the theater for one day. We could sacrifice our Thursday night sales and still maintain the weekend because we knew all our customers had already seen the movie because I bought out the theater.
That's crazy.
So, but those are the things you learn over a period of time.
W-U-T,
what? And so there's ups and downs every day. About all you can do is we joke around and go, all you can do is get a McDouble and a large Coke. Because whenever I'm just having a bad day, I want a McDouble and a large Coke. And for you guys out there, put a little honey on that McDouble. I promise you it will change your freaking brain.
Dang,
it's
you did
so
not,
good.
You heard it here first.
So that's
my go-to. I'm having a crappy day.
Yeah.
And I just go get a McDouble, large Coke, and it lets you clear your brain for 10 minutes and go, it's not that bad.
I actually love that as a paradigm, just like a small reset. Like give yourself a little reward.
A little one, you know?
Just a
tad.
I'm a huge Wizard of Oz fan, everybody knows. I only watch it once a year.
Okay.
I only watch it. It's not a predetermined day or time. We did something that was unexpected, was something unbelievable. We came up with something new. We created a new line of product. We were able to do something that everyone said you couldn't do. And that night I'll go home and I'll watch The Wizard of Oz because whether it was real or not, or she was dreaming, I will never let people tell me that I can't do my dream. So it doesn't matter if it's real or fake. It only matters that she thought it was real.
Yeah, the feeling was real.
All I have to do is dream as big as I humanly can, find a bunch of people that believe in me, and we work together to accomplish it.
Not gonna lie, that's also what interests me too, is because I had a lot of good memories as a kid
at
an old
for
card shop
having
back home.
Folks, if you are
And I think that would excite me too, to give other to give people breathe new life into that hobby.
Means you come
to
twice.
give experiences. That sounds cool too. Like that's the other side of wanting.
And if you want to see another video like this, check out this one. You can't do that in a simulator. Where I interviewed my friend Rick in his best
you want to feel something for the robots
in the world.
Dark humor, also known as black comedy. It's a style of comedy that makes light of subject matter that is generally considered taboo, particularly subjects that are normally considered serious or painful to discuss. No, we're not talking about those people on Twitter or
that's what, like those
Instagram
small
reels
homegrown shops. I had one called The Encounter when I was a kid, and it's actually still there back in my hometown, but I've just, over the years, I think the management changed at some point while I was growing up.
One of the best instances
Not the same people owned it when I was younger, but the people that owned it when I was younger, I swear they cared about quality and making memories, because I just have so many great memories burned into my skull, whether it be through Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Naruto, TCG eventually. I never really got into Warhammer, but I had friends in the district, we'll say.
Season 11's episode,
so many good memories.
Cartman Sucks.
And I think I would love to do that too.
Season 11 is actually one of the best seasons in the entire show. I'm actually going to make a bold claim and call it my favorite season, which makes me pretty brave, because if I've learned a singular thing about
some
South
breakdowns
Park
also
while making
in this
these
playlist.
Videos, it's how wildly different your guys' opinions are.
Any South Park fans?
Season 11 is awesome, with apologies to Jesse Jackson, the Tourette's episode, Imagination Land, Guitar Queero, The List. I look forward to reading your comments about how I'm wrong. Okay, we're getting off topic. Cartman Sucks. This episode involves everything that I love about the show. It discusses an extremely sensitive topic in sexuality and conversion therapy. It also shows us just how horribly stupid Cartman is capable of being. But most importantly, it has Butters. I mean, has there ever been a bad Butters episode? Before we get started, I'd like to remind you to check if you're subscribed.
Yeah, the games are
I know, don't hate me. It unfortunately works to ask that. With our intro out of the way, let's get into our episode analysis of Cartman Sucks.
And this guy does pretty good analysis of it.
The
it's called armchair
up with
analysis.
Cartman bragging to his friends about all the horrible things that he's done to Butters while he's asleep. He even has a scrapbook of all the times he's assaulted poor Butters, as if Butters needs more trauma in his life. One thing I do like about this scene is how Cartman shows a genuine interest in photography.
I really like how the light plays with the background on this.
He loves photography.
It's actually a running gag throughout
fact.
the series that would be pretty easy to miss, but in multiple episodes, Cartman is actually insanely passionate about this hobby, and for no other reason than Trey Parker thinks it's funny. Eric goes on to explain that everything he has done so far pales in comparison to the plan he has prepared for Butters tonight. Just as Eric is about to tell the boys his plan, Butters shows up for the sleepover. As they're about to leave, Kyle makes an attempt to tell Butters that he's being taken advantage of. Cartman, of course, manipulates the situation and makes Butters think that Kyle is jealous. And the boys leave, annoyed knowing that Cartman is going to do something terrible. Eric is so eager to execute this plan that he suggests they go to sleep already, and even acts like a little Bill Cosby offering Butters sleeping medicine.
No means no, Bill Cosby.
The next day, Cartman sprints to the bus stop, probably the most excited he's ever been in his entire life. He enthusiastically tells the boys he has the greatest picture of all time.
And then I took a picture of his wiener in my mouth.
This highlights how clueless Cartman can be at times. Despite his manipulating, his executing genius-level plans, and appearing knowledgeable about many mature subjects, he still misses the mark fairly often. Somehow, Cartman thought this was the ultimate getting Butters moment. I always like to try to give you guys fun facts about these episodes. Matt and Trey actually had the idea for this all the way back in season 6 during the Aspen skiing episode.
I don't know what season it was, but years ago when we did the show about Aspen and skiing, part of that show, Cartman's kind of messing with Butters while he sleeps. You know, where that story went was that while they were in Aspen, Cartman's like, you guys, I did the ultimate. While Butters was asleep, I put my dick in his mouth and took a picture. We cut the whole scene out.
Cartman thinks that what he did makes
I
Butters
love the little
gay.
behind the scenes
boys
he
quickly
meshes
let Eric
in there.
know that it actually makes him gay.
Does it to
Also,
movies
I love
too.
when Kenny gets lines that you can clearly understand.
Kenny, that doesn't make me gay, huh?
Kyle takes this opportunity to mess with Cartman some more, telling him the only way to reverse, and I quote, the gay polarity is to...
The gay polarity? What?
Is to get Butters to put your wiener in his mouth.
This is one of those episodes where even if you like Cartman, you just can't help but enjoy watching him panic about all this. So Cartman rushes to go find Butters. He is obviously desperate to make himself not gay anymore. He tricks the gullible Butters with a blindfold, and it gives us one of the more uncomfortable scenes in all of South Park.
I swear on my mother's life, Butters, I'm not going to stick anything yucky in your mouth.
Can we just leave poor Butters alone? Hasn't he been through enough by now? Just as he's about to do the deed, Steven walks in on them and is horrified to see what is taking place. Cartman then runs off, and Steven, of course, takes the whole incident out of context. He then tells Butters that he isn't gay, he's just bi-curious. Steven would know a thing or two about being bi-curious. No, not bike-curious. We already covered that episode. Butters is obviously confused, and this confusion will be a running theme throughout this episode, but basically, Butters is just too innocent to know what is happening here or what Cartman was even attempting to do. Steven takes Butters to Father Maxie, who suggests that Butters be sent away to Camp New Grace, which is a conversion camp, where the idea is to pray the gay away. We'll talk more about this in a minute. Meanwhile, Cartman shows up to Kyle's house to call him out on the false information that he gave him. He pretty much begs the boys not to tell anyone about the incident. Kyle then offers him a deal.
Okay, we won't tell anybody as long as you are super nice to us every day from now on. Oh, right, like that's possible.
This is an underrated part of the episode. The fact that Cartman doesn't even consider that he could be nice to them is just hilarious and shows exactly the kind of person he is. Alright, now we're getting to the beef of this episode, the conversion camp. I guess I'll start by explaining what conversion therapy actually involves. It's a practice that uses any attempt to alter a person's sexual orientation, gender identity, or expression. Most cases involve people under 18, often pushed into it by their parents. The main reason is typically religious beliefs that oppose homosexuality. The methods they use to convert someone's sexuality can range from basic talk therapy to extremely abusive aversion techniques. There's horror stories all over the internet of people being forced substances that make them nauseous and then try to relate that to any homosexual feelings. In some historical cases, they even performed lobotomies in an attempt to fix sexuality. Conversion therapy can cause significant long-term psychological harm. This includes significantly higher rates of depression, substance abuse, and plenty of other mental health issues. Nearly every single study done on this shows that it has caused more harm than any type of shift in sexuality. The people who are pro-conversion therapy have absolutely no evidence other than personal claims, usually saying, well, I cured a patient who is no longer homosexual, which is funny, considering those patients were probably just tired of being lab rats. As of December 2023, 28 different countries have bans on conversion therapy.
What a difference, though. I was just farming lobsters in R3 so much quicker.
Let's use this information as a
regardless of level.
Forward.
I mean, I am much higher.
So Butters arrives at Camp New Grace, totally unaware of what's really going on. He genuinely thinks it's just a summer camp, which again highlights his innocence. The camp leader gives Butters a tour. He tells him that every camper gets an accountability buddy. This is to make sure they don't engage in bi-curious behavior.
But now he's learning that with the power of Christ and prayer, he can have a whole new life.
This is one of the most shocking scenes in South Park's history.
Yeah.
There's very little controversy surrounding it. I mean, an episode where they said shit 162 times or made fun of Scientology got 1,000 times more backlash than elementary school children literally unaliving themselves. Why is that? Well, this isn't satire. This is what conversion therapy can actually lead to. South Park was able to deliver this dark humor in a way that exposes the truth behind this practice. It might have offended some people, sure, but the overall message is not only true, but opens eyes to the horrors of conversion therapy. And don't worry, you're not a bad person if you laughed at this scene. Shock value, combined with the delivery of it, makes it a fun, uncomfortable laugh. Fact time. Matt and Trey actually had an entirely different plot for this episode. In the camp was only supposed to take around 2 minutes of the episode. The other plot involved Butters' dad finding him at a rave during the camp, and doing a bunch of wild things to try and turn him straight after discovering this, such as hiring a prostitute in Mexico. Once they actually did their research on conversion camps, they decided this was a much better emotional story. Butters is given a new accountability buddy, and we meet Bradley. Him randomly quoting scriptures always cracks me up.
Do not lie with a man as one lies with a woman. That is detestable. Leviticus 18:22.
By the way, Bradley is just Trey doing Stan's voice while biting his nails. I found this interesting. Also, I'm pretty sure he's based on Billy Bibbit from the 1975 film One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I can't find Matt or Trey confirming this, but it's listed as a reference on the wiki,
you probably
so
like do
it's
sharks
worth mentioning. Meanwhile, we learn that Cartman lost the picture of
what about God and
performing a fellatio. He threatens Kyle to give the picture back, and Kyle lets him know that he doesn't have it. Cartman obviously won't accept this, and he gets ready to fight after calling Stan and Kenny Jews.
That's the revelation at the end. That's the answer to life. God and anime.
Ow!
They never miss an opportunity to make Cartman look completely soy when it comes to anything physical. We then meet our next one-off character, Pastor Phillips, whose homosexuality was cured with the hand of Christ and prayer.
Hello, campers!
Yeah, I don't think anyone needs the joke explained here. He goes on to give a speech about how he's no longer gay.
Oh my
yeah,
god,
not
dude,
even
I
the
don't remember
children
this
got
episode.
that one, buddy. It's likely Pastor Phillips is loosely based on a real-life pastor named Ted Haggard.
What we should think about homosexual activity, it's written in the Bible.
Who was exposed in 2006 for smoking meth and doing butt stuff. Basically, he was preaching about homosexuality and openly fighting gay marriage during the day while hooking up with dudes at night. He went to conversion therapy for this and claimed he was cured. You know, until he was outed a couple years later for hooking up with dudes again. After the assembly, Butters and Bradley get called to the office and get in trouble because Bradley was hiding an underwear catalog. Butters is just confused and doesn't see what's wrong with underwear, bless his heart. The camp leader goes on to say how he's doing his best to try and save all the kids from their urges and facing eternal hellfire.
All the lobbies.
Yeah, definitely saving those kids. The next scene shows Cartman going to the police, telling them that Kyle stole his picture. He then has to explain what the picture is of.
Definitely best God worshiper of the year, right?
No, I was not.
Yates tells him that they would need time to get a warrant, and Cartman says that he doesn't have time
Telvin was trying
Kyle's
to win.
Going to show the picture to everyone at school tomorrow.
Like number
Cartman
one
is freaking
worshiper
out,
of
and
the
he
year,
decides
or something like
that he needs to bring his mom in to help with this situation. Eric tells her the truth. Kind of.
Butters got really hot, so he pulled his pajama bottoms down, and then I tripped and fell down, and my mouth landed right on his penis.
The clip is actually like 3 times longer than that.
I don't remember this episode.
Copyright. The way Cartman tries to explain how it happened is one of the funnier parts of this episode.
Yeah.
Anyways, Leanne ends up calling Kyle's mom. Honestly, her bluntness here needs to be respected.
Apparently, your son has a picture of Eric with another boy's penis in his mouth.
She assures Eric that Kyle doesn't have the picture, which Cartman simply cannot accept. Back at the camp, Butters has a wholesome interaction with Bradley, where they admit that they like each other, except Butters has no idea that Bradley is talking about, you know, liking him. Bradley realizes this is a problem. He's now in too deep, and reacts in true conversion therapy fashion.
We're just evil and nothing can change us! There's no other way out, Butters! We have to ourselves!
Bradley is contemplating unaliving. God, I hate saying that, but YouTube, you know.
Yeah.
Whatever. Something that I probably haven't talked about enough is how religion in most of these places warps their view on things.
Bye-bye, man.
Obviously, not all conversion therapy tactics are religion-based, but the ones that are teach you that being gay is quite literally evil. They really try to put it in your head that being gay makes you an abomination of God, and it's your choice to change that.
Not.
Yeah, it's no wonder this shit leads to life-altering psychological trauma, because what happens when you can't change?
He who is alpha.
In true South Park fashion, Butters gives a speech that is actually a pretty good outlook on sexuality.
I wasn't confused until other people started telling me I was.
The thing is, he still doesn't know that the confusion they're talking about even has to do with sexuality, but it really resonates with Bradley, and he decides to come down. Something I'll never really understand is how some LGBTQ people think that South Park is homophobic. Like, how could anyone watch this and not tell that Matt and Trey are supportive about this topic? I'm probably overthinking it, and it's probably as simple as the ones who do think like this just choose to be offended before they even watch it. But I find a lot of posts complaining about LGBTQ related stuff in South Park when I research for these videos. I guess I'm just thinking out loud here. The storyline ends with Steven half-heartedly accepting Butters for who he is.
No, I like being bi-curious.
Well, you know something? So do I.
So do I.
Wait, now I am confused.
Ah yes, now for one of my favorite scenes in all of South Park. So basically Cartman has accepted the fact that Kyle is gonna show the picture to everyone. He decides that his best option is to just show the picture himself, with the idea that it will at least take some of Kyle's satisfaction away from him. This is a prime example of how Cartman can be extremely impulsive. Like, if he just sat and thought about Kyle's character for a second, it's not really something Kyle would actually do. But Cartman has such a warped view, because if the roles were reversed, Cartman would definitely show the picture. He starts to show his photography collection and make sure to imply every picture has some deeper meaning. When finally...
Ew! What this is a statement against the war in Iraq.
And just when you think the episode couldn't end in a more perfect way...
He says the most outrageous things.
Do not show picture. Kyle didn't have it after all. found it under your desk.
This is the ultimate Eric facing karma moment. Mostly because it could have been prevented about 100 different ways.
What's your fishing
but
level,
his
girl?
self-sabotaging and skewed
You're only
perception
67.
of Kyle causes him to destroy himself. This episode actually made it into the top 20 of all time. I personally have it in my top 10. One thing that separates this episode is how there isn't really an A and B story like there usually is. As this episode progresses, both stories could be considered the A story, which is a pretty hard thing to accomplish. Another episode that on its surface looks pretty controversial and offensive, but actually has a decent meaning behind it. If you guys made it to this point in the video, I'm afraid you have to like the video now. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, if you want to check it out, armchair analysis.
It's completely gone overnight.
This is a
But I don't remember that episode. That's crazy.
set of shelves that you have right here, isn't it, Brian?
Yeah, it adds up. It adds up very quickly.
How much of that 2.6 million
The
is
noises
like
in Fallout
actual
3, I
profit?
missed it.
I'm hoping it's
Surprised it didn't trigger me.
This is Brian. 3 years ago, he started flipping sealed Pokemon cards in his basement, and to date, he has now sold over $5 million in cards from home with no employees. Today, I want to know how he did it, what other resellers can learn from his business model, and what other people can do to get started in this business. Brian, thank you so much for having me in your Pokemon basement. You know, on this channel, we're very money positive. So in that spirit, how much money do you make?
So this year, we're going to do about 2.3 million in sales.
Unbelievable. In just sealed Pokemon card product on your website.
Yes, sir.
We'll talk a little bit more about your specific model later. I'm really excited to get into it because it's really
I feel like I'm one of the firm believers that's like,
but how much of that?
I feel like that's a
2.6 million
fail-proof
is, like,
business
actual
model.
profit?
Not,
This is something
you know,
you're really
like
open
I'm talking
about on
about
your channel
collectible
that I'm
stuff
always
because
inspired
people.
by.
Yeah, so the profit,
Even when
depending
the
on
markets
set,
are down,
we'll do
people
between,
want
like,
escapism.
15% margins on
And
some
then when they're
items
up, people
and
want,
up to like 22%
you know, fun.
on really good ones.
Like, you
Okay,
can't
so
lose.
15 on the low end then is kind of what you
I
try
don't
to
know.
stick to.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Especially
Do
for
you have
someone who
any
just has
idea,
a
like,
lot
how
of
this
crap
year
to
might
unload.
round
This
out
is
in
a
terms of
full-scale
sales?
business.
Well, after all the expenses, shipping labels are a huge one.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's like 300 grand in profit.
Dang, dude.
Like that'd be
well
ideal.
done. From your Nebraska basement, by the way. I love this
But on the lookout.
setup that you have down here. I kind of feel at home,
Yeah.
away from home with my basement business. Can you talk briefly about the kinds of
This
products
one's
that
Phoenix
you're stocking
Resale.
back here? I mean, you've
He's got plenty
all
of videos,
kinds of gorgeous
and they're
shelves
just
of
like they're
Pokemon
sporadic.
and
Sometimes
other
he goes to
random stuff.
conventions.
They do
Sometimes
look
he goes
very
to card
pretty.
shops.
So here is kind
Sometimes
of
he
like
does his
the
own
English stuff.
game flipping
great
thing.
for collectors and people that want to play the actual card game.
Yeah.
I'm trying to take all the
And
tips I
then
can
this
get
is mostly just
before
for
I kind of start.
collectors. This is like the Korean section. And then we've got some more Korean cards. The rest of it's mostly Japanese Pokemon.
Yeah. And you've been at this for only 3 years now. You started
3 years.
in 2020, is that right?
Yep.
How did you start, especially in like a product that has relatively low margins? Was that super cash flow heavy to just get into it?
Yeah, so year one, the margins were great.
That's a good point,
It
too.
changed a
Yeah,
little
with
bit.
its own
But
following
we just
and its
got
own-
started, again, 2020. It was
That's why
crazy.
some
A lot
videos
of
I've
folks
seen
were
for
scalping
people
all the
that do
English stuff
whatnot.
from retail stores.
And that's kind of
You
what
couldn't
they've
find Pokemon
said in
cards
their
anywhere.
whatnot
So I met
tips.
some
Is that
folks in
eventually you
Japan
get your own
who started
audience that just
importing
buys from you
Japanese
in
cards
general.
just to kind of fill that gap.
That's interesting to
So
think
you
about,
saw an
but
opportunity in the market.
I don't know if I
of a
would want to
demand
buy
for a
cards
product
just
that
to
was in
sell
super
them.
scarce
Like I buy them
supply,
to
trying
collect them. I just have a
offer
lot
it
to
at a cheaper
offload.
price point, just in a different language.
It'd be one big
Yeah,
lump
just fill in
sum,
the
but
gap.
who knows?
Wow, that's really smart. And do you mind if I ask, like, how much money did you actually have to start this business?
Not much at all. A couple $1,000s,
Okay.
but you don't even need that.
Just a couple
And from that couple thousand, you have now grown to the point
mean,
of
for a
doing
business.
$2.5 million in a single year. What is your like average sale price per order?
Average price is $260.
Wow. So you're still making a decent bit of profit on average for every order that you're actually shipping.
Yeah,
You must sell in
Can you
bulk.
talk to me a little bit about your fulfillment setup and like what the workflow looks like in this space?
Yeah, actually, absolutely. So we start the morning by just kind of looking at this iPad here, which I rigged up. The orders will come in here. And
no, is
what
there
we'll
a
do
new
is we'll
video?
just fill this
Like a
cart
new
up,
person?
with all the
'Cause I haven't
products,
seen
and
it.
It's convenient because I just have to walk around this little area.
I love this cart, by the way. I'm kind of jealous of it.
But the cart's just so convenient. And you wheel it over here, and then what we'll do is we'll just package stuff up with our setup. And when that's all packed up, we'll move here to like the labeling section.
Wow.
And yeah, it just kind of stacks up here until we bring it upstairs.
And until very recently, this is a process that you were doing entirely on your own, is that right?
Yes.
What made you decide to make the jump to hiring a part-timer and like actually starting to scale your business? It's obviously still in the basement.
Well, I'm 30 and I'm working like 80 to 90 hours a week, and I realized I can't do this forever.
Yeah.
So might as well start now.
That's a super tough question for resellers and entrepreneurs like us, is like, how much do you really want out of the business, and how much are you willing to, like, how much liability are you willing to take on relative to
like what
the
scale,
money that you're making?
what size
do you think
is
you'll
your
scale
business?
much beyond this point? Are you trying to open up like a warehouse or a card store, anything like that?
That stuff stresses me out.
pricing
I'm
his
gonna
cards like
probably keep it
crazy,
at this
and
level.
says somebody to
Most likely this will be
about it.
around
Look
what I
up
sell
what not
forever, and I'm
Pokemon
good with
Crash
that.
Out.
Wow. Okay, so you don't really have ambitions of
Yeah,
going to
hold on
like
a sec,
5
I'll look
million or 10 million or beyond?
No, if I could do 5 million in a year, that would be as good as I want to do.
That's really powerful for me to hear. I don't hear a lot of talk in this space about knowing exactly when enough
What
is
not
enough,
crash
especially
out is
like
just
once you reach those higher
top
levels
search
of
term.
sales,
Is funny,
right? And revenue and profits that you're taking home. At what point do you stop and let yourself kind of ease off? Do you have a goal of eventually making this more passive? Do you want to
Was it about
hire
2
more
weeks
people
ago?
and do
Would you
less
say?
work?
I don't know if I could. I think my body just needs to work. So
I see one here from
I
like
should do
2
that.
weeks ago.
Yeah,
I think.
I don't see that in the future.
But you've built a business
Hold on one
that
sec.
allows for you to
Not this guy, right?
My God. I want to kill myself.
Oh no, no, not that one. Something similar. So about 2 weeks. I'm thinking this one. I used to watch Rattle. It's from 2 weeks ago. Oh, Crash Outs.
Guys, well.
Oh, well, it's. Did Charlie talk about it? Penguins? I think I saw a video he was talking about one, but it never popped up. Or I never. Hold on, I think Charlie was talking about it.
I was in a.
No, Charlie. Stop it.
No, I know.
Stop it.
I'm just.
What the heck, man? Yeah, that's a good source. I do have stormy weather, and Google Fiber is trash internet when you have stormy weather. So, gonna take a second. Like, you're streaming and RuneScaping? What are you doing? I can load the channel, but I can't load his videos. There we go. Yeah, he's still he's still crashing out. Hold on. That's the first. There's a saga. Look, he's still crashing out. Makes a lot of videos. Yeah, I love watching those too. His the scalpers like battling it out, dude. There it is. Yeah. It's like YouTubeception here. Yeah, dude. Yeah, I've been watching his scalp battles. Those things are so funny. Hold on, dude. I gotta hear the terminology. Tell him to lock it in.
Okay.
Just arguing about it. Hey, it's becoming a dog-eat-dog world out there for scalping. So toxic, bro. Bro? I'm gonna hit the highlights. I'm more curious to see this. He's still crashing out. Is it really that stressful of business? Running a whatnot? Let's go. Boat semi full time, so he's. Oh yeah, probably ranges then, right? That's what I've gotten to a point where I just like I see the thumbnails and if it's interesting I click on it. But I don't follow every video. With that, I like that he covers basically all the events to where I can just say that to you and just be like, yeah, did Charlie do it? There's a main source to see it. But these, yeah, like the scalper battles have been so funny. He's still crashing out. Dude, he's just bearding out. Look at this. Looks like a chipmunk. Go figure. Got my scaping over here. You need to take a break, my dude. That is just... Yeah. Everybody dogging him in the comments, too. There you go. Do exactly what you're here for. You gonna sell something or keep yapping? Dude, put the fries in the bag. You're on here for a reason. What? Dude, straight up definition of a crash out right there. Pulling shitters. That's funny. Yeah, I can't believe Pokemon makes someone so angry. That's the part I can't get with the scalpers when they fight. I'm like, this, I tell it to my girlfriend, I'm just like, this is a child's play toy. Yeah. Literally. A whale, a possible whale. Dummy. Literally just passed on a possible whale. You're an idiot. It's even yellow to tell you that. Go burn money because you basically just did that. I'm with you, Spud. I agree 100%. Yeah. Who wants to fight me? That's what I gotta... He's crashing out hard. He's not even here to sell anything. Even at first, I was thinking maybe he's crashing out again because he got a bunch of publicity from crashing out. But no, he's just straight up crashing out. But this next one, I wanted to throw it in here. It's one of the bigger card shops near me. It's called Catchem Collectibles. And I used to think it was a really cool shop. But then I saw they had a little debacle. Yeah, it's about a year ago now. You can see it right there. They had, I guess they were treating, like, they went to an expo and were treating other venues like shit. Like they were the top dog or something like that. And I completely stopped buying from him because of that. And it's because of what you just said. Like, I want to buy from passionate people. People that believe in the actual, not even believe, but, you know, just the passion. Yeah. Yeah, he actually, no, he didn't. But it was so weird to see my local card shop at the time in drama. Oh, and that's what it was. It's because they called themselves the same name. Oh, called Catchem Collectibles, and I'm pretty sure you can't. The way they spell Catchem, like gotta catch 'em all. You can't trademark it. I can't even remember the video. But yeah, like this guy right here, like that's the dude I usually see behind the counter smiling at me about to take my money while I give him, or while he gives me Pokemon cards and stuff. And like, dude, seeing him in this light, I was like, wow. And then hearing the full story, and it evolves past here. Like, I guess there was an altercation pre-video turning on. And yeah, he had threatened to go out in the parking lot and beat his ass, I guess. Yeah, to see him act like this, I'm like, I am not... Like, obviously, there's two sides to every story, but seeing that, I was like, I don't want to buy cards from this man anymore. No, I'm good. He had some great vintage, though. And that too, and then the crowd gets in because it's Pokemon cards. There's kids around, and he's screaming stuff like that. Not screaming, but like yelling pussy and all this. Yeah, dude. But that's Possum Bud. He's kind of like the Charlie of Pokemon. He just talks about random Pokemon crap. I haven't watched him in a while. But yeah. And it's actually about noon. This is when I plan to get off because I got to eat lunch and then I got to start working on something and then go to work. So yeah. That be RuneScape and coffee. Yeah. Ketchum, I'd argue, is a cool name. That's what they were arguing. I guess he was pissed off about the name being the same in general, and then that's what caused his attitude like that. I don't know. Just after seeing him act like that, I was like, I could not believe that guy acting like that. And I was like, okay, I don't want to buy from him. But yeah, I'm going to get out of here, make some lunch. I hope you guys have a good day. And we'll probably be on later tonight with more multiverses. Because, like, it's the last final days. So, yeah. Thanks for hanging out.